Hello, everyone. Welcome to another incredible, super episode of Wellness for Powerful Women. So I'm here with an amazing guest. This woman, y'all, you guys gotta get ready because this woman's gonna drop all the bombs. Like I learned so much from her. So get ready for a special surprise. So anyway, this recording special, because we wanted to come here live, like video, face to face with you to just share all the most amazing things about networking that you could like how you could use it to leverage your business, how you could help you get the most ROI out of it. And also maybe what are some common networking mistakes that maybe you don't realize you're making so that you could learn how to, you could be aware of them and use networking to your best benefit. So I'm so excited to have Sarah here. Sarah, if you could go ahead and just please introduce yourself and just let us know like who you are and what you do.
Yeah, of course. So hi, I'm Sarah Gemmell, and informally, I'm the queen of networking. If you're looking for a more formal corporate title, I am an expert networking strategist. And really what that means, not a lot of people really hone in and focus on just networking. So what I do is I host virtual and in-person networking events of all different types and, things like that, different structures. But I also consult with small business owners and corporate sales teams and marketing teams on how to be better at networking. Like you're already networking, right? Like you're going to events, you're going to meetings, you're going to trade shows, you're going to conferences. How do you show up with better intention, with better strategy so that you can actually see a consistent flow of quality leads coming through, right? Like we look at when we look at our businesses, we look at businesses and we spend a lot of time and energy and money on marketing strategies, right? Obviously, we need to get in front of the right audience to make sure that we're making enough sales so we can keep the lights on, so that we can keep helping the people that we're helping with our business, right? So a part of that marketing strategy is networking. And networking is commonly mistaken as a way to make sales, but really it's a way to generate leads.
Mm.
And it's such a crucial part of that overall marketing strategy. So I don't claim to be a marketing expert. Like I'm pretty good at it, right? But that's not my focus. My focus is I'm going to come in and I'm going to help you to really leverage networking to get people into your funnel, to get people into your space, to get people into your community in a way that aligns with who you are and in a way that doesn't feel icky or spammy or cringy, because that is like across the board. It's one of those stigmas that just exists in networking, that it's a meat market or it's just one big pitch party or everyone's out to sell me something, right? Because we've all had bad experiences.
Okay.
So I really just come in and it's like, okay, how do we do this the right way? Right. And it's not just throwing spaghetti at the wall. It's not just waiting for the occasional referral to come through. It's like, let's go in and let's really look at this strategy.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much. And this is why I was like so attracted to you, Sarah, because and just full disclosure, you guys, like Sarah runs this bomb, amazing networking group. Like she does in person and virtual, but I'm part of her virtual networking group called Badass Women in Business. And literally, you guys, like she has created a space where women want to support one another, women want to collaborate. Like it's like the
Mm-hmm.
first virtual networking space I've seen. Like it's like we're not just like here to sell or whatever. Like we're actually like friends. Like I hung out with the Southern California chapter not
Yes.
too
Oh
long
my God.
ago.
That made me so happy.
Like
Yes.
we went to the beach together. Like you're making friends here, and I'm just so grateful to Sarah for introducing this side of networking to me. That's like, oh, you don't just go in to make get referrals, which is you can, which is amazing, which Sarah will help us with, but also you can make lifelong friendships. So I'm just like so grateful to you, Sarah, and so excited for this conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was curious for you, because I exactly what you said, like everything, I was like, yes, 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 because I hear what people say about networking, like it's just like a selling fest, it's just like pitch party, and I didn't like that. Like I was in the chamber of commerce before, and I just I don't know, I just felt like everyone's just trying to sell to you, and so I kind of avoided it for a while. So
Yep.
I'm curious, like, what are the mistakes that people are making with, like, especially as women entrepreneurs? Like, I know there's a stigma around networking and things like that, but what what are the, I guess, maybe first, before we go into mistakes, what are some of the mindset shifts around networking that you could offer that could help people sort of like release that stigma around networking?
To be honest with you, there's one. There's
Okay.
one that works really, really well. And some people can relate and some people can't. If you cannot totally relate, you're blessed, but you will still understand the analogy. So I know you just got married, right? But have you had to date within like the last 10 years?
No, I was with my
Have
husband
you
for
been with your
12
husband
years.
that long?
Yeah,
Oh,
so we were
I like
together for a
that.
long time.
Okay, so you're the perfect example of someone who cannot directly relate.
That's so funny. Oh my gosh. Oh my bad.
But okay, hear me out. Okay, so I have unfortunately had to be dating, right? In this
Mm.
world of online dating, it's
Ooh,
ghetto out here. These dating streets are not fun,
I've
right? And
heard.
in the world of dating, you have to sift through profiles and you have to, go on a couple of really terrible first dates, and then some of them seem like they're really good on the first date, and then after a few you realize you don't really click. It's the same thing with networking.
Mm.
Networking is exactly like dating, and specifically like online dating, right?
Mhm.
It's like you do have to sift through people who don't align with you, who you just simply don't get along with, or you just don't like. And that's okay. Like certain people, or certain meetings, I should say, have different structures.
Right.
Kind of like different people you date have different lifestyles or different backgrounds or different preferences. Like it's the same exact thing. But in dating, you keep going, right? Even though
Right.
you feel like dating is terrible and you never want to do it, which is me. I'm like, I'm so over this. And then I go on a date next week, right?
Oh, woo woo.
Right. And it's like, as much as we don't like having to sift through the not so fun or the misaligned experiences, we still go back to it because at the end of the day, there is that big reward at the end. And the same thing with networking, but people typically tend to write it off more permanently,
Mm.
right? So it's like you just have to keep trying. You have to shift your mind to it's okay if it was misaligned, but that doesn't mean that every single networking group, every single event, every single meeting is going to be misaligned. And sometimes we
Right.
just have these really terrible experiences, and those are valid. And I would encourage you to not go back to that particular group or meeting, but don't stop trying to find your people. You know what I mean? Like you're going to go to a meeting one day, whether it's a weekly group, a monthly group, it could just be a yearly conference. I mean, it could be any structure, any frequency. But you're going to go to that meeting and you're going to be like, these are my people. This is what I've been waiting for. Like, this is what feels good. So I think that mindset shift of like, not just writing off all networking because you had one bad experience.
Right.
You know
Oh
what I
my
mean?
God,
Like
that's
keep,
awesome.
yeah, like keep trying, keep going back. You know what I mean? Or maybe you really liked the group as people, but maybe you weren't seeing referrals coming through. Maybe there wasn't a direct ROI in your business. So that mindset shift of like, okay, just because I'm not getting referrals right now doesn't mean the group is wrong.
Hmm.
Just means I need to be more strategic. I need to change how I approach this group.
Right.
Right? It's like, there are groups that may not have an ROI for you, but most people want to just write off the group. And we all, as psychologically, we always want to blame other people,
Mm.
right? Like, oh, well, if I'm not getting referrals, it's because you're not sending me referrals. This group doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, what's the messaging of your intro? And do you follow up with people? And what's your ask? Have you even been tracking your ROI from the group?
Right.
So I think that mindset shift of one, you keep trying, and two, usually when it's not working, you have to look inward and make sure that you're showing up the right way before you determine if it's other people or not.
Right. Oh, I love that so much because I love that metaphor because it really is like dating. Like don't write off networking just because you met some like jerk at the bar and that's like
Yeah,
an idiot or
exactly.
whatever. Like that doesn't mean all men are horrible or all women are horrible, you know? You got
Exactly.
to go to, the right group, the right place with the people that match your energy. And that's why I love Badass Women in Business because it took me some time to like sift through what was I looking for because I honestly didn't really know. Like when I started networking, you just kind of have to go and see what you like and don't like. And unfortunately, in the beginning, you just kind of have to see, oh, it's good to go through bad, like unhelpful experiences because it
Right.
informs you that you don't that's what you don't want or what you don't like, you know?
Exactly. Yes. Like when you are in a growth mindset, those not so fun experiences, those misaligned interactions, being able to look at it like, why was it misaligned? Right? If I can
Mhm.
identify why it was misaligned, how did I get here? How could it have been better? What did I like? What did I not like? You then get to fix it and decrease your chances of it happening again, right? Where the
Right.
people not in growth mindset are going to just be like, well, that sucked. Everyone sucks. My life is terrible. I always attract the wrong kind of people, like, complaining and not trying to look at it's kind of like looking at it logically, like taking the emotion out of it and like, okay, how could this have been better? Right? Like,
Right.
why didn't I like this person? Right?
Right.
Why didn't I like this group? Did I not like that it was structured different? Did I not like that it was, co-ed? Did I not like that it was all online businesses? You start to look at why so that when you go to that next meeting, that next networking meeting, if you see that the structure of the next meeting is the same, but you determine that that's why you didn't like the group, then you're not going to go.
Mm.
Or you could still go and try it because some people do the same structure differently. But hey, I know that structure doesn't work for me,
Mhm.
right? I know that I need to
Right.
be in a space that does X, Y, and Z.
Right.
And now you can try to curate your experiences more carefully. So I think having that growth mindset of what went wrong here,
Mhm.
and then you can grow from it.
Right. Right. I love that. Just like use it as your information to help you see just what you actually prefer so that
Mhm.
you can actually start using networking and you could start leveraging it because it's a powerful tool. Like you're gonna miss out so much if you're just writing it off because of one bad experience. So I love that you said like have that growth mindset, that openness, and just like be curious about what worked and what didn't. And
Yeah.
there are so many groups out there, y'all. There will be something where you will like enjoy it, you know? And
Yeah, for
and you
sure.
were kind of like you're hinting at this earlier too, but you're kind of going into a little bit of, when you do like say you do find the group, like you do love the energy and you love the people there, but you're still not getting an ROI. Like it sounded like you're kind of going into some of the mistakes there. And so yeah, like I'm curious if you could kind of like go over like what are the top like maybe few like three or so mistakes that you see in networking, like when you found the group that's right for you.
Yeah, for sure. So right off the bat, number one is not having a strategy. And I think that what
Mm.
happens a lot of times, especially now that I'm in this space, I'm in this role, right? We really don't even know what networking strategy is, right? And I'm
I
like, oh, I'm going to help
didn't.
you with your, exactly right. I'm like, I'm going to help you with your networking strategy. And you're like, okay, like whatever. So when I say, hey, listen, I'm going to help you get more referrals, like let's get, more referrals, let's get a better ROI, then it starts to click, right? But then when you actually listen to me talk, you're like, oh, that's what that is. So like networking, period, happens all the time. You're constantly meeting new people, telling them about yourself, talking about your business, learning about their business, reaching out to people you're already connected with, passing referrals, receiving referrals. That stuff happens naturally every single day, but you take a very passive role in it where it's just like, well, when the referral comes to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you look at it from a lens of strategy, you start looking at, okay, what is this group? What is the audience? When I go in and I know the audience because I did my research and I showed up prepared, I know what my ask is going to be. I know what the messaging of my introduction is going to be, right? And then I'm going to schedule, like just even knowing how many one-to-ones that you do a week. That's part of your strategy.
Mm.
But when we're not
Oh.
intentional about that, it's just like, well, this week I've done 37 one-to-ones and then I'm going to go 2 weeks without doing any,
Right.
right? And then like when you do those one-to-ones, what does that meeting look like? Because a lot of people just shoot the shit for an hour and then they've wasted an hour. Now you have no idea what the other person does. They don't know what you do. There's no benefit from the business side because you talked about social stuff the whole time,
Right.
right?
I'm like,
And
oh,
then
I'm
like,
hit. I've done that.
right. It's very easy to fall into, especially if you just truly get along with that person. And I think that in the name of trying to not be spammy, there's this new trend of, well,
Mm.
I focus on building relationships.
Right.
Okay. But if you're doing it without strategy, you're going to have a whole bunch of friends and still no business growth, right? And you're still taking a
Mm.
very passive role in just like, well, when the referrals come, they come. The strategy in networking allows you to be proactive, to go out and put yourself in a position where you're like, this referral is going to come in because I strategically set it up that way. Like I'm out there actively seeking quality
Mm.
leads, but that
Mhm.
doesn't mean I'm being spammy. It doesn't mean I'm being salesy. I don't show up with commission breath, right? Because it's strategic. And part of my strategy is I always care about people more than I care about profit,
Mhm.
right? Like I
Right.
genuinely want to connect with you. I want to show you support. I genuinely want to be referral partners, which means it's both ways,
Right. You could have
right?
both. Like you could have both like
Exactly.
a relationship with someone and an effective like way to have them help you with referrals.
Exactly, because think about it, right? We're so focused on building relationships, right? But when you look at how much time, energy, and money you spend in networking, it's a lot of hours because you have to be at
Mm.
the meeting, you do your one-to-ones, you do your follow-ups, right? All this stuff. Usually you have to pay to be in the group, whether it's a $5 lunch meeting or an $100 mastermind group, right? Doesn't matter what it is.
Mhm.
You're probably spending some amount of money to be there. And when you look at like time for renewal, and you say, well, I have 5 more friends. I'm going to keep paying for this group. That's not what's happening. Like, we're not going to stay in a group just because we made friends. If we're looking at time, energy, and money invested, we need to know I made $10,000 because of the connection I made in this group. Or I spend
Mm.
$100 a month to be part of this group every week, but I'm making $200 a month.
Right.
And each month I make $50 more or $100 more. You know, like you can look at it, and that's when you decide to stay in a group or not. The social friendships are cool, but that's not what's keeping us in that group. That's not what keeps us spending our time, energy, and money. We need to know that there is an ROI in our business. We need to know that our
Mhm.
business is growing. And if it's
Mhm.
not, we're probably not going to renew our membership for that group.
Right.
You're not going to keep going back.
Right.
So that's why you have to come in like this, the networking versus networking strategically. You take a more active role in creating your own ROIs that you're getting your time, energy, and money's worth from being in those spaces.
Oh my gosh. Did you guys write all of this down? Y'all, this is so good. I'm like making so many notes. I'm just like, oh shoot, that's what I'm supposed to do. So that's so good.
Right.
But I love your approach because I love that it's so intentional. Like nobody has ever taught me networking like this before. It's always been like, just go out there, just tell people what you do. Like they'll say, go out there, meet people, tell them what you do, and make an offer. But I love how you're saying it because it's much more like it's not like let me just leave it to the universe and hope that referrals come in. It's like much more empowering. It's like you can actually position yourself in a way where referrals can be much more consistent. It can actually be
Mm-hmm.
coming in and you can actually get an ROI, and it's not like you're just leaving it to the freaking universe like kind of thing.
Exactly. Right. And it's like to be able to even like the idea of how many referrals do you need in a month to get your money's worth out of this group? That's part of the strategy. Most people don't even think about that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how, if we know how many closed referrals we need, because referrals don't automatically mean sales, that just means introductions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we get 5 introductions for the month and we can close 20% of those, I think that's about 1 or 2 people, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's 1 or 2 closed sales a month. How much more revenue a month is 1 to 2 closed sales? If that's not hitting your goal, if you need like 3 or 4 closed sales every month, then you need to be generating twice as many referrals for a 20% conversion. You need to know these things when you go into it. And it's like, what are you even offering? What's your goal? Because a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people will talk about, I'll just use this as an example. They'll talk about their one-on-one coaching, but
Mm-hmm.
they're actively launching a membership. Why aren't you talking about the membership that you're
Mm.
actively launching? Like, you have to make sure part of your strategy is making sure that your introduction and your ask aligns with your overall marketing and sales strategy of like, what do we even focus on selling this month?
This is so good. Like I never even thought of this stuff. Like, is your introduction in alignment with your current offer? Like, are you telling people about your current offer? Like why would you tell someone about an offer that's not your current thing? Like
Yes,
I'm like, what the
exactly.
heck? Like it sounds so simple, but you just don't know these things when you go into networking. And I'm curious, like, for me and all the other entrepreneurs, because I hear this all the time. But yeah, like for example, like how, like say in a coffee chat or something, like how do you make sure you get like a return from that? Like people, I've talked to so many entrepreneurs and coaches and they have no idea what a coffee chat is. They would tell me, oh, you're my first like coffee chat. And so how can you utilize the coffee chat to your advantage, and how can that be used in your strategy, I guess?
Yeah. So you really have to look at the structure of it, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
think that one of the biggest things that's been my success in these coffee chats is being a very upfront about expectations. Like, why are we getting
Mm-hmm.
on this call?
Mm-hmm.
Because I want to be very clear that this is not a discovery call for you to pick my brain about what my problems are so you can pitch me your thing,
Oh,
right? Like
yes.
we
Oh my
need
gosh.
to, because if you have enough of those experiences, I can guarantee you're never gonna get on a coffee chat ever again.
Oh, hell
So
no.
like they're not fun. And that's where we get this meat market idea from, right? Because you get on these coffee chats, you don't relay your expectations either well enough or at all. And the other person is like, oh, this, I'm going to use this as a discovery call.
Mhm.
Sarah's my ideal client. Sarah can buy this thing. So being very upfront with your expectations of like, why are we getting on this call? We're getting on this call to get to know each other. You're going to share. I'm going to share. I really want to figure out, who can I introduce you to? How can we refer back and forth to each other? How can we maybe collaborate on things? Like when you and I have done this multiple times, like when we have our alone time, that's when the most ideas flow, because now I'm getting a deeper understanding of who you are and what you do, and vice versa. These coffee chats are not just about one of us, it's about both of us.
Mhm.
And it sounds like kind of neurotic to a lot of people, but I highly encourage structures in these one-to-one meetings. Like, we're going to cut it at the halfway point, and there's going to be a switch. At the halfway
Mm.
point of this call, I'm going to be done talking and you're going to start.
Oh, that is so good. Oh my God. I wish I learned this from you one time
Yeah,
ago.
like
Yeah.
that's
So
something
good.
that's so, it seems kind of crazy. Like people are like, oh, Sarah, that's way too structured. But if you're not structured, if you're not intentional, you're now at an hour and a half and you've been talking about your cats.
Right. Like
Like
there's
it's
no return in
okay.
that. Yeah.
It's okay to talk about the personal stuff. But when you have strategy, you're going to look at the clock and you're going to be like, okay, like I do this because I can talk about my animals all day long. But at a certain point, I'm going to be like, okay, I'm just, you and I did it today. I was telling you about my cat. And then my brain was like, Sarah, stop talking. And it was very abrupt where I'm like, okay, let's talk about what we're doing on LinkedIn.
Right.
Like, and it's okay to be kind of abrupt, because it's like, okay, we're here to like get something done. Let's switch. People typically don't get upset with me about that.
Mm.
Or like if I'm talking about myself, I'll say, okay, tell me about yourself. Like I'm done talking, share yours. If someone else is talking, I will say, do you mind if I share about what I do? Like, do you mind if I take my turn to share?
Oh, this is so
Um,
helpful.
yeah, right. So the goal of these, the intention of these coffee chats, these one-to-ones, is we both need to share. And we both need to share
Mm.
what we do, who we help, what we offer. It might not be super in depth, but at least it's a base understanding, so that when I'm out in the world and someone says, I really am struggling with sugar cravings, and I'm like, oh, I got you. I can introduce you to Charmaine, right? And I might not be able to tell you about her offers. I don't need to. That's not my job. I'm not your salesperson, but I'm going to say, hey, Charmaine, this person was just complaining to me about their sugar cravings. Can you send them your offer suite, because you can describe it better than I can, but here's the introduction. But if
Right.
you and I shoot the shit and talk about only social stuff all for the whole meeting, and someone says, I need help with sugar cravings, I'm like, yeah, no, I can't think of anyone. That completely defeats the purpose.
Exactly. Like, what were we here for? And like, like I love the social connection aspect too, but if you're not supporting one another, then it's like then you also kind of miss the opportunity to help, collaborate, help each other grow, because it
Yeah.
could go both ways. Like you miss out on referring them, they miss out on referring you. Like it could be a missed opportunity for both parties, you know? So I love that
100%.
you say, like, when you add structure, I really do believe, like, when you can make it really intentional, it serves both people to have that. And you still, I feel like the relationship's even stronger because you actually want to support them in their endeavors. It's like, to me, a much more meaningful relationship than just like, oh yeah, we talked about cats and she's pretty cool. Like, it's like, I care about your business. Like, I want to help you succeed. And,
Yep.
I also would love your support in my endeavors also.
That exactly. And it's like the friends thing is great and wonderful. But are we going to spend this many hours on coffee chats with just friends when we should be working? And like to
Mm-hmm.
your point, we eventually might find out what each other does. It's just going to take a lot longer. Like I've heard people that'll tell me on the first coffee chat, they don't do anything to do with business. They want to just get to know you as a person for the first one or two meetings. And I'm like, but like I'm not only going to talk to you like once a month at the most because my schedule is packed with coffee chats. So by
Mm,
the time I get you rescheduled, it's probably going to be closer to like 6 or 8 weeks. So you're telling me it's going to take 16 weeks for us to talk about business? I
mm-hmm.
mean, that's 16 weeks where I have no idea what you do and I can't refer you.
Right.
Like, and to your, you said it perfectly. It's a missed opportunity over and over and over again. Like, I totally get putting the person before the business and like prioritizing the relationship, but at the end of the day, we're still referral partners, and we can't
Right.
make referrals to each other. We don't know what the other person does. It just is way too long of a game to be like, oh, let's just meet a couple of times before we talk about business.
Right.
Why? Like, why? Like
Yeah.
there's just no. I think there's time and energy for both in the first meeting. Sometimes with first meetings, I try not to go over 30 minutes, but even still, in 30 minutes, we can touch on these things if we stay on track. And then if we get along, the next meeting we can schedule for an hour.
Right.
Right. But because you don't know if that person's actually going to be aligned with you, you kind of want to give yourself an out. So, like, hey, I only do 30 minutes.
Oh, that's good. You know what I love
Yeah.
about you, Sarah? Like, you're just so like, you're just honest, and like, I love that you're straightforward with people, but it's really useful to protect your own time and also their time. And like, it's okay to be like structured and intentional in the beginning. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, I've been in both coffee chats where it's like long-winded and you talk for 2 hours. But I did it, where you talk for
Yeah.
2 hours about cats. And then I've been in ones that are like literally 30 minutes. They set the tone, like, they're like, we're gonna talk about this, like, and we're gonna talk about how we can support one another. And I loved that one
Yeah.
like so much because it kind of helps you like just see, what the intention is. It, like, people want direction, and they do want also to feel supported. So I love that so much. And
Yeah.
I think as women especially, like, it's okay to be upfront. Like, I know there's stigma about that, but like, it's also about, I think it's okay to be kind of like having that leadership role and just being a
Yeah.
little forward with it.
Yeah,
Um
I mean, you're
yeah.
respecting the other person's time too to say, "Hey, here's the structure to keep us on track for 30 minutes." Perfect.
Right.
And I actually just had a phone call Monday.
Mhm.
And this girl and we've been in each other's circle for a while. She interviewed me for the CW network. So, I mean, not a close relationship, but we've talked a few times. I reached out to her. She said, "Yeah, I'll call you." I said, "Okay, fine." So we scheduled a call. Long story long, 7 minutes the phone call was. There was no Kiki, how you doing? What's up? How are the cats? How are your kids? When are you traveling? She was like, "Hey, how you doing?" I said, "I'm really good. How are you?" She said, "Good. Let's get right to it. You said you wanted
Mm.
to do this. I want you to do that. What are we going to call it? What's the day? You email me this. I'm going to email you that. Do you have any questions?"
Oh, nice.
And I'm like, "Nope, it's perfect." And she's like, "Okay, cool." And and then there was personal stuff thrown in there. It's just that we didn't spend a lot of time doing it. So when she said, "Okay, I'll talk to you soon," I said, "Okay, sounds good. Bye." And we hung up, and I looked at the thing, and it was like 6 minutes and 45 seconds.
Oh, wow.
Right. I mean, and
Amazing.
that's okay. Now, is that great for the first time? No, right? But it's okay to say, hey, listen, we're skipping the social stuff today because we came here with a mission, and like you and I are both really busy. We can catch up later because I really do care about you. But like, let's get this done right now, real quick, and then we'll do the social thing later.
Right.
That's
Right.
okay. You know what I mean? It's okay to say, let's dive right into this because there's a lot I want to cover today in our 30 minutes.
Right. Oh my God, I love this. This is like
Yeah.
empowering me to just also be, be more of that leader, have that leadership energy. And then yeah,
Heck yeah.
it doesn't have to disrupt your relationships. Like it has nothing to do with your relationships with people.
No.
But I love that. And I feel like there's so much you can share. Like I feel like I could literally talk to you for hours because you guys, you have to follow Sarah on Instagram. Like she has so much wealth of information. She's just an amazing resource for all things with entrepreneurship, networking, even just embodying like being a woman like in her power. So I love that about you, Sarah. And
Thank
I'm
you.
wondering, like, is there any way for people like is there anything you're offering to help people, to help businesses or anyone in corporate who want to maximize networking?
Yeah, so I'm working on a few different things. I'm kind of diversifying my offer suite. That's really my focus for quarter one and quarter two. But for right now, the best thing is consulting. So I
Mhm.
offer consulting on a one-on-one basis with like usually small business owners, or I do team consulting, and that's typically the corporate offices who will have me come in for like workshops or lunch and learns. And I do that. I travel all over the country, speaking at events, speaking at summits and conferences, on like that kind of group level. So the best thing to do is just go to my website. It's sarahgemmell.com. And then it shows you all the things. You can get all my social links. You can see all the current offers. But if you go to the consulting offer, I designed this consulting offer to where it's not this like long-term commitment. It's not 6 or 12 months of consulting. It's really just like, hey, do you have something you need to talk about? Let's just get on a one-time call. Or do you want to just do 30 days and we can just revamp everything you're doing? I'll get you ready for your meeting and then we'll debrief after your meeting. Like let's talk about your introduction. Let's develop a follow-up system so that you're not losing these leads or losing track of these power partners who you can really refer back and forth to. Like, how do we create these systems? But then also looking at the messaging of like, how are you showing up? What does this introduction sound like? Because if your messaging is off, you're never even going to get these power partners interested in working with you because the messaging
Mhm.
isn't landing, right? Or different things like that. So you can go to my website and find it. Those are really, really awesome, like very strategic calls. And I like that there's no commitment because it's like, hey, when you have something to talk about, let's talk about it. And it's very like this problem solving, which I love. And then the team consulting has been really awesome too, like coming in and looking at what is this team working on, and if the whole team can go out into different networking spaces, different meetings, and they all get say 2 more leads, how many more tens of thousands of dollars is that for that company, but also for that individual team member? They're making more in commission. Now their family benefits from it and they're able to pay off debt and go on vacation, and they're going to stay in that job longer because they're more successful. You're going to have these higher producing team members. Now everyone's happy. And I just like to come in and we look at these specific teams, and it's very, instead of this broad conversation of like, well, you should look at this, it's like, no, I'm looking exactly at what you're doing, and this is what we need to fix, and this is how we're going to fix
Oh my gosh, you guys, if you don't go on a call with Sarah, I'm
it.
just like, what the heck? Like, I've been on
You
one-on-one
can
calls
tell
with
I love it.
Sarah. No, she is the most passionate person I've met about networking. And she's not like, she doesn't just love it. She knows her shit. Like, she knows what she's
Thank
talking
you.
about. She can help you find the right strategy. Like, I went on a one-on-one call with her and she just gave me so many ideas that I never even considered. Like, there's so many things that you could be creative with your networking and have a strategy that works for you and your business so you can get the ROI you want without wasting time, without spending all this money that you're not
Yep.
benefiting from. So
Yep.
please like check out her website, Sarah Jean Co. And I'm gonna put all her links here in the caption in the description box. But check her out. And thank you so much, Sarah, for being here. This is like I learned like
Yeah.
so much. I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna rewatch this. Thank you so much for being here.
Yes. I think, you really take your power back when you're the one that says, here's what we're going to do. Here's how I'm going to show up. Here's what I'm going to get from this. Here's how I'm going to position myself. Here's how I'm going to follow up with people. Like, you take your power back when you're the one following up. So many people are like, well, they're going to lose my business card. It's going to sit at the bottom of their purse. They're never going to call me. Why aren't you calling them? Like, take your power back, right? If you are the strategic one, you're going to be the one that shows up like, hey, let's do this. And people like that. They're attracted to it. It's like magnetizing, right? When you show up prepared, strategic, and you take kind of that leadership role of like, it's okay if you lose my business card because I got yours. And I have a great system for following up with you.
Oh my gosh. That's so
like,
badass.
yes, right? And it's like, you really attract people to you with your energy. And when you show up with strategy and you showed up prepared, you show up in great energy, people are going to be so attracted to you and they're going to be excited to work with you. You think about these meetings where someone shows up unprepared. How much do you trust them as a referral partner if they show up unprepared?
Right.
Like, oh, I didn't bring business cards, or, oh, I wasn't prepared to share, or, oh, don't mind my hair. I look like a mess today. Or, they are just not interested when everyone else talks. They're over here on their phone. You can tell they're doing something else on their computer virtually. It turns you off, right? So think about what we talked about earlier. You think about, why did this turn me off? And then make sure you're not the one doing it.
Right. Oh my God, that's so good. That's something that really stood out to me that you taught me, like how you present yourself. It really can affect your referrals. Like, even when you said in your introduction, if you're like, sorry, everyone, I'm late. And you're like what energy is coming off of an introduction like that, So like,
yes.
Right. So like, be intentional with your energy, and I love that empowering version of you that you could show up as. You're not disempowered. You're not leaving it to the universe to get referrals. Like, you're the one in charge. And this is so great. It actually helps me see networking as really like just the way to step into the person you want to be and be that empowered version of yourself. So I never saw networking that way before. So I like freaking love it.
Yeah. I love that. That's the shift we want.
Yay. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much, Sarah. This has been amazing. And we will have a follow-up Q&A on LinkedIn. So stay tuned for that if you want to ask Sarah questions directly.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Bye.